Alright, so today I want to show you the top 10 countries in the world where ball pythons are the most popular. I was actually over on Morphmarket.com where they have about 250,000 ball pythons listed over there, which is pretty incredible. And usually when you're working over on Morphmarket, you'll see there's 3 different regions. There's the United States region, the European region, and the South African region. And what I didn't realize is, for example, you can actually go over to the European region and then within another menu, there's a drop-down menu and you can sort by country how many ball pythons are in different countries all around the world. And there's dozens and dozens of countries listed over on Morphmarket, which is something brand new that I found. And I actually went through all the different countries, counted up all the ball pythons, and I sorted them from pretty much the top 10 countries where ball pythons are the most popular as far as people posting them over on Morphmarket. So today I want to jump over the internet and I want to show you these top 10 countries where ball pythons are the most popular. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here at Morphmarket.com and I want to start with the #1 country that has the most ball pythons listed over here in Morphmarket. And if you've been into ball pythons for a while, you may guess this one, and that is the United States. As a matter of fact, the United States has more than 10 times the number of ball pythons than the #2 position over here on Morphmarket. And I actually pulled up the United States section of Morphmarket and sorted by all the ones that are for sale and all the ones that have sold. There's actually been 189,699 ball pythons listed over here in the United States. And I actually sorted all these by the most expensive so you can kind of see what the hot genes are in every country. And some of this stuff is a little bit outdated. For example, you actually have the scaleless head here. I remember when these first came out, they were selling for $45,000 and now they're just a few $100s, which is pretty amazing. But if you actually look at some of the stuff kind of on the top end of what's selling in the country, you'll see some sunsets, which are still pretty expensive. You'll actually see, if you actually kind of scroll down here, you have the super micro scale. The micro scale is another version of a scaleless ball python. Kind of the interesting thing with the super micro scale, I've actually heard that they don't have the heat pits on the front of the mouth like the completely scaleless ball python. So for example, this one is a different version of scaleless that has the heat pits on the front. Pretty amazing genes over here in the United States. You actually have the static. The static is pretty much the same as the confusion or the acid. One of the newer genes on the market makes some pretty amazing combinations. So you have some sunsets here, really amazing combinations. And I actually pulled up a map of every single country in case you're not exactly sure where these countries are in the world. Some people aren't that great with geography. So take a look at this. This is actually a map of the United States. And this is pretty much the bulk of the United States right down here. But keep in mind, the United States also includes Alaska way up here in the frigid north. And it has a really big landmass, almost more than half of the United States. But it's really cold. It's not really that populated. And also in the United States, you actually have the Hawaiian Islands that are way down here. And keep in mind, ball pythons are actually illegal in the Hawaiian Islands. So there's no ball pythons. I'd say most of the ball pythons in the United States are down here right under Canada, the United States. All right, so here is #2. The #2 is actually the UK. Believe it or not, the UK has 17,064 ball pythons over here in the UK. And they have some pretty interesting genes. As a matter of fact, there's some genes in the UK that you can't find in the United States, like the autumn sun. Take a look at this. I actually did a video on the autumn sun, which is pretty cool. So you have pretty much like the albino autumn sun at the top of the list. You have some scaleless over in the UK. You have some confusions, some really high-end stuff. You have some rainbows. The rainbow is a really expensive type of albino. You have some toffees, clown pied, which is a pretty amazing combination. You have the Enchi migraine, which is pretty awesome. A lot of really awesome stuff over here in the UK. You have some dreamsicles, really high-end combinations. And if you're wondering where the UK is, I actually pulled up a map over here. So the United Kingdom is actually way over here, just above France. It's this island right here. The UK actually includes part of Northern Ireland up here. All right, so coming in at number 3 is Germany. Believe it or not, number 3 is Germany. They actually have 8,256 ball pythons over here in Germany. And look what's coming in at the top of Germany's site over here. All these sunsets, pretty amazing. They're pretty strong into the sunsets. They actually are doing really good with the strangers. I haven't seen a lot of strangers over here, but it makes some really amazing combinations. The stranger gene is pretty interesting. I actually have an Ultramel pie. That's one of my favorite pies. I've actually looked down some more stranger stuff. Let's see what else they have. They have the LC Black Magic. I actually did a video on the LC Black Magic. It's one of the new genes that came out. Pretty amazing gene and a pretty super dark combination with the super LC Black Magic. It's a pretty amazing gene. So if you're actually wondering where Germany is, you probably know where Germany is. I'd say most people know where Germany is. It's actually over here. And it's kind of interesting if you start looking over here as far as the countries that are really big into ball pythons, they're really close to each other. So Germany is really close to the United Kingdom, coming over here in number 3 and number 2 as far as the most popular places for ball pythons. All right, so number 4, believe it or not, number 4 is South Africa. South Africa has 5,375 ball pythons over here in South Africa. And it's kind of interesting to see what they have coming out over here. They actually have the Batman, which is the leopard spot-nosed clown. Really amazing combination. Batman's up on the top of the list over here. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen quite a few breeders over in South Africa with some really high-end combinations that I would say it doesn't really make the top of the list over here, but they have some really amazing stuff over there. They actually have the banana spot-nosed clown. They have some puzzle stuff over there. The caramel albino pies, I haven't seen those over here in America for quite a while. So if you're wondering where South Africa is, I'm sure everybody knows where South Africa is. If you actually look at Africa, it's over here. And South Africa is just the tip right down here in South Africa. And it's kind of interesting. I've actually heard that ball pythons originate in this part of South Africa, and in the middle of Africa, in these countries over here, Ghana, Togo, and Benin. I've actually heard a lot of people importing ball pythons from these countries over here into the United States. That's where a lot of our stock comes from as far as getting ball pythons in the wild. All right, so number 5, the 5th most popular country to have ball pythons is actually Canada. They have 2,545 ball pythons over here in Canada. If you look at some of the crazy stuff in Canada, they have some really high-end stuff. They actually have some scaleless pies, which is pretty amazing. I haven't seen many of those over here in the United States. They have a VPI snow clown, which is pretty amazing. And let's see what else they have. So they have some puzzle stuff, some red axanthic, a tri-stripe clown. I don't think I've ever seen a tri-stripe clown. That one's pretty amazing. And they have the banana Batman. Let me tell you, I've used this picture in quite a few videos. That is probably one of my favorite combinations, with the banana and the Batman combination. That thing is crazy. That's some rainbow stuff. Pretty amazing stuff coming out of Canada. And if you're wondering where Canada is, believe it or not, Canada actually extends way up here. All these little islands all the way up above what you would normally think is Canada. Canada is right above the United States. Pretty big landmass up here. Pretty cold up in the northern parts of Canada. All right, so right under Canada for number 6 is the Netherlands. There's 2,441 ball pythons in the Netherlands, which I didn't realize it was actually way up on the list here, which is pretty amazing. And if you actually look at what's coming out of the Netherlands, they have a bunch of stranger stuff, some desert ghost stuff. Pretty amazing. They actually have some genes that I haven't done a gene. As a matter of fact, the Amir, I haven't done any kind of a genes kind of a highlight on some of these genes that are pretty new that are just coming out, which is pretty amazing. They have a fire leopard spot nose, some desert ghost stuff, lavender albino clown, which is pretty amazing. That's actually the grail, known as the grail, the lavender albino clown.
So that is pretty amazing. And if you're wondering where the Netherlands is, it's actually up here. And as a matter of fact, if you actually start looking at all these countries, you start seeing a trend as far as where the ball pythons are. They're all really close. Germany, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom, all really close. It seems like, you know, once someone starts in ball pythons, it seems like it kind of spreads across the border. All right, so right after Netherlands, coming in at number 7 is Belgium, which is pretty amazing. Belgium has 1,097 ball pythons over here on Morphmarket, and they have some clown stuff, some rainbows. They're looking at they're doing some scaleless heads and some clowns. Ultramal pieds, those are pretty awesome. Probably one of my favorite pied combinations, with the combination of the Ultramal and the pieds. They have the Confusion. It's kind of interesting to see which version of the acid, the static, or the Confusion is in different parts of the country. It seems like the Confusion is a little bit more popular, more worldwide, as far as being kind of have like a global distribution as far as that. They actually have a fire scaleless. The scaleless is definitely going around the world, which is pretty amazing. They have a Monarch, which is also pretty amazing. So if you're actually wondering where this is, Belgium is over here. Of course, it's going to be right in the middle of Ball Python Central, tucked between the UK, the Netherlands, and Germany, right up here. All right, so right after Belgium, coming in at number 8 is Italy. Believe it or not, Italy is coming in with 928 ball pythons over here on Morphmarket. And let's see what's coming out of Italy over here. Italy, as a matter of fact, they have some scaleless heads. They have some pastel cypress clown. That's a pretty amazing combination. They have some highway stuff. And this is just like the most expensive stuff on each part in each country, which is pretty amazing. They have a leopard spot nose. Looks like it's, this is actually a leopard spot nose, pastel inchy head clown, really close to being a Batman with one copy of the clown. Pretty amazing. And if you're actually wondering where Italy is, most people know where Italy is, I'd say Italy is actually over here, pretty much nestled right in here with the other countries. It seems like the ball pythons are pretty much right in this little, it's like the ball python belt over here between Italy, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, and the UK. All right, so right after Italy, coming in at number 9 is Poland. Poland has 395 ball pythons over here on Morphmarket, and it looks like they have some clown stuff, some Confusion. The Confusion looks like it's going around the planet and it's going global, which is pretty crazy. This is kind of interesting. They actually have a Burm ball, which is a hybrid between a Burmese python and a ball python. So it's two different species mixed together, which I thought was pretty interesting. I've only ever seen one here in the United States, so it's kind of interesting. You actually see one over here. And it looks like they have a super gravel, which is pretty awesome, an orange dream pied, and a super pastel fire clown. Some pretty awesome stuff coming out of Poland. And if you're wondering where Poland is, it's pretty much right in that same area with, it's just right next to Germany. So it's kind of interesting. You actually have, you know, Italy, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Belgium, the United Kingdom, all right in here as far as where the ball pythons are coming in. All right, so the last one, number 10, believe it or not, it's Austria. Austria has 322 ball pythons. And they have some pretty cool stuff over in Austria. They actually have some axanthic clown stuff and some Confusions. It seems like Confusions are pretty much in every single country, which is pretty amazing as far as what's actually going around. They have a lavender albino pied, which is a dreamsicle, which is pretty amazing. A Confusion spot nose, I like that combination because it's two pattern enhancing genes that really explode the pattern. So really awesome stuff coming out of Austria. So take a look at this. Austria, of course, is tucked right in the ball python belt, right over here in this kind of, it's kind of interesting. They're all kind of grouped together. And I actually pulled up 3 more things that I thought were really surprising where there's no ball pythons, where I actually thought there would be ball pythons. And number 1 is Mexico. So take a look at this. If you actually look over here at the United States, I actually live right here in Colorado, pretty much right in the middle of Colorado. And if I drive 11 hours south, I actually mapped it over on Google, I'll hit Mexico. And in Mexico, there are 0 ball pythons over here on Morphmarket, which I find pretty surprising, especially since Mexico kind of gets down into the tropical climate down here. You'd think it'd be really easy to keep and breed ball pythons down in Mexico. The other one that really kind of surprised me was Ireland. Over here in Ireland, there is no ball pythons listed over here in Morphmarket. As a matter of fact, there was actually one that was listed in Ireland, and that was a pied ball python. I actually know someone who actually grew up in Ireland. So I was thinking, if I was actually in Ireland trying to make a ball python, I'd probably go for a green ball python, trying to work on some green. As far as I know, there's really no green ball pythons, so it'd be kind of an interesting project. And the other thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this is that Northern Ireland is part of the UK, and it's really close to the UK, which is really popular as far as, the ball pythons over here. Although I think in a lot of these countries, there may be laws against keeping and breeding ball pythons. So that may be, part of the problem over here in Ireland. I haven't actually looked up the laws to figure out one way or the other. And the other one that really surprised me, take a look at this. This is Russia, and look at how big Russia is with this huge landmass over here. Russia is massive, and there's not one single ball python over here on Morphmarket from Russia, which I thought was pretty surprising. All right, so it is time for the question of the day. And Jenny Sue Torlone asks, can you do a video on ghost versus hypo? There's a lot of controversy on if these genes are the same gene, and that is a very good question. So kind of the interesting thing about this is if you go over to morphmarket.com and do a search for hypo, nothing will actually come up, because according to Morphmarket, there is no gene listed as hypo. And pretty much from what I understand, that hypo is just a slang for ghost. And keep in mind, the ghost could be extremely variable, so you can actually have multiple lines of ghost that look completely different. As a matter of fact, there are specific lines of ghost, like the green ghost or the orange ghost versus just the regular ghost. And some of the ghosts are not compatible if you mix them together, which is another kind of the complicated thing about the ghost. But I'm pretty sure that hypo is just a slang for ghost, and you can pretty much use it interchangeably. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.